Hello everyone. I want to ask you a very important question, and everybody has this problem these days. The question is, does your English sound boring? Chances are that a lot of times if you have been using the same words over and over again, guess what happens? Your English sounds boring. But there's another problem. The problem is that you probably are not familiar with native English speech. So in today's lesson, what am I going to help you do? I'm going to help you replace your old boring English with native English to make you sound like a native speaker. And I will help you give up those basic English phrases so that you can replace them with updated native English phrases, because that way you will sound like an up-to-date English speaker, which is what you all want, right? And of course, we will also learn to find the right ways to include them, to integrate them into our conversation. Because if you know native English, but if you don't know where to use them, well, that's not going to help you, right? But I'm going to help you find ways to use them in your conversation. So let's look at some native English phrases. So I'm going to tell you what you're probably saying right now, followed by the correct or the native English way to say it. And then we will see how we can help you use them in conversations. A very common phrase, when you make a mistake, what do you say? My mistake. You could instead say, my bad. And when do you use it? Let's say you are in an office meeting. If you did some error, you could say, hey, my bad. Or let's say you are in an informal conversation with a friend or with anyone you know, and you did something by mistake. Instead of saying, my mistake, you could say, oops, my bad. So those are native English ways of admitting to your mistake. Now, a lot of people, when they are in agreement with somebody, they say, I agree. Nothing wrong with it. However, the native English way to say it is, same here, or likewise. So if you tell me, Seema, I did not travel last year because of the pandemic, I agree with you. So I say, yeah, same here, or likewise. And when do we use this? We use this when we are engaging in small talk. You can watch my video on small talk where I teach you how to have conversations with people. And over there, you have to talk to people when you want to agree with them. That's when you can use these two phrases. And of course, also when you're having informal interactions with people around you, you can again you can use these particular phrases. A lot of times, when you agree with people, it also means that you have understood what they say. And of course, you are instructed to say, I understand. But what is the native English way to say it? You could say, I totally get it. Or, I'm with you. So if you and I are having a conversation and I'm explaining a problem, I want to tell you that, look, it's so difficult for me to travel because I have to face so much of traffic. You'll tell me, hey, Seema, I totally get it. Or, don't worry, I'm with you. I totally get it. Okay, so that's so much better than saying I understand, because it sounds a lot more native English. And when do you use it? You use it when you want to show empathy. Always remember, it's good to speak good English, but it's really good to be polite. And to be polite, you have to show empathy. So try using these phrases to show empathy in conversation. Let's now look at some more old English phrases that you are probably using, and let's see how we can convert them into new or native English phrases. A lot of you say relax, correct? What else could you say instead? You could say chill or don't sweat it out. A lot of times we get worried, we get desperate because of not getting what we want, and we end up getting really flustered. So you need to chill. When do we use that? When, again, you want to show empathy. When people are, like I said, frightened or scared or terrified, you want to tell them to just chill. They're probably worried. Tell them, don't sweat it out. Okay, those are native English phrases. Now, if someone is attractive, it's a good word to use, right? You could say attractive or good looking, but native English speakers have a more casual way of saying it. They may say, oh, you look like a snack today. You're wearing a lovely dress. You look like a snack. Or, you look steaming hot. Okay, this sounds like a phrase that you would use in informal conversation. And when do we use it? We use it when we are complimenting someone. Obviously, if someone is attractive, that is a compliment. So the next time you want to compliment someone in an informal way, you could just say, hey, you look like a snack, or you are looking steaming hot. Okay? All right, then let's move to the next old English phrase that you're using. Do you call a young boy a young man or a young woman? Nothing wrong with that. However, native English users use the word chick to talk about a young woman, and they use the word bloke to talk about a young man, right? So a lot of times when you read a book or when you're watching a movie, you will come across these two words when you're actually looking at people having informal conversations. Again, when do we use this? When we're describing people. Like I said, if it's a woman, she's a chick. If it's a man, it's a bloke. Now, a lot of times, things don't go your way. What happens? You are disappointed. But instead of saying disappointed, what could you say? You could say, what a bummer, or I'm totally gutted. Okay, so when you're disappointed, you can use these two phrases. Really good phrases that you will hear native English speakers use. And when do we use it? When you are expressing sadness or regret. Like I said, things sometimes don't go your way, but that's okay. You don't have to be disappointed. You can use some native English phrases to express your regret. All right then, let's look at the other phrase that we use, a very common one, I disagree. You and I don't agree on something, so you say I disagree, which is okay, but sometimes you can say, not in my books. Well, I think we should do this. Not in my books. You think it's not the right idea. It's not the correct thing to do. Now, when do we use it? When you want to raise an objection, right? Because a lot of times we don't necessarily have to buy into what somebody else is saying. Just because someone's saying something, you don't have to agree. So you can use this phrase instead. Now, a lot of times you are clueless. You have no clue. You don't know. So a lot of times people say, I have no idea. Or some people say, I don't know, which is very basic English. But I would suggest use a native English phrase, which is beats me. You know, a lot of times when you ask people a question, hey, where is the local restaurant? Beats me. Don't know. Basically, they have no idea. Or I can't figure it out. A lot of times you have to use this, or you'll probably hear this in English movies. And when you can't figure it out, it basically means that you are not accustomed to native English phrases. But now, you know what these two phrases mean. It basically means that you do not know, and you have no idea. And you are using this when you want to show that you are uncertain, because you have no clue, right? So you are expressing uncertainty. Now, certain things are very easy. So some things were not clear, you didn't know it, but there are certain things which are so easy. But instead of saying that is easy, you can say it's a no-brainer, which means this phrase is actually really interesting. It basically means that you don't have to use your brain. It's so simple, it's ridiculously easy, right? When do we use it? We use it when we are expressing confidence. Like a lot of times, if something is so easy or it's a no-brainer, it basically means that you are so confident about it. And that is when you will express your confidence. Okay, the other old English phrase, when you are giving someone a suggestion, you will tell them, why don't you think about it? A good suggestion, but what is the alternative phrase? You could say, hey, why don't you sleep on it? Why don't you mull over it? Mull basically means to think something through. Sleep on it means take a while, go to sleep, take enough of time to really go through your thoughts, and that's where these two phrases come from. Very commonly used by native English speakers. And of course, like I said, it is used when you want to offer suggestions. Okay, so you've given your suggestion, but you want to give people time to make that decision based on your suggestion. And that's when you will say sleep on it or mull over it. Sometimes you have to go with the flow, but what does that really mean? And what could you say in the native English phrase? You would say play it by ear. Now let me tell you, there are some things in life that we really plan, right? But there are some things in life where you cannot really plan it because You want things to just go the way it is. You want things to just shape out in the way that it is going forward. And that's when you go with the flow. In other words, you play it by ear. You're not necessarily wondering about how to go about the plan. You're not worried about the plan. And you use this when you are talking about an approach or a method. An approach is nothing but a method to get things done, right? So if you want to ask me, how do I teach a class? I don't always have a lesson plan. Sometimes I go with the flow, or now I will say I play it by ear, which means I don't want to have a plan. I'll just have a look at how the students respond and I will go ahead with it. All right. But now it is quiz time because I want to know how much you have learned. Okay. So let's see if you can answer this quiz correctly. So the question is there a faster route to get to the hotel? What do you think the answer should be? Okay, take a quick look. I think if you don't know the answer to this question, what would you say? You would say, beats me. Why? Because beats me is the native English phrase to say, I have no clue, I have no idea. Okay, let's go to the second one. If you've not got the first one correct, don't worry. I'm sure you'll get the second one right. Sorry, couldn't answer as I was driving. Now, when someone is apologizing, he's made an error. Remember, what is the phrase? How do you respond to an error? Do you say, no biggie? Or do you say, sleep on it? What do you say? Well, I don't think you'll ask someone to sleep on it, but you will say, no biggie. In other words, it basically means no worries. Okay, so if someone's made a mistake, just say, don't worry, no worries, or no biggie. Okay, well, I'm sure the third one is going to be super easy for all of you because you're getting all of these right. Oh God, I couldn't clear my driving test for the third time. Now I'm really disappointed here, okay, because the third time I could not clear the driving test. I'm a bad driver. So what's going to happen? What do I say? Do I say not in my books? Or do I say what a bummer? What is the emotion when I fail for the third time? The emotion is disappointment, right? So what would I choose? I will choose the phrase, what a bummer, which means I am disappointed. Or I can say, I'm totally gutted. I couldn't clear my driving test for the third time, okay? Anyway, I want to make sure that you can answer these on your own. So I would suggest all of you take a screenshot and give me the correct answers to these 3 questions and put those in the comments below, all right? And I will answer your comments and I will tell you if you are right or not, but it is my suggestion, okay, that all of you use these native English phrases as much as you can when you are talking to people. If you do, you will sound like a native English speaker and you will stop sounding boring, all right? So keep practicing, keep learning, and I will be back with some more new videos. Until then, this is me saying bye and take care.